Alright guys, it's time for a little Q&A. I went on into Instagram and asked you guys what questions you wanted me to answer about our move to San Antonio, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. First question, I think is the most important question: where did we move? And we moved to San Antonio, Texas on December 9th of 2020. So we've been living here for about a month, and it's just me and my fiance. His name is Luis. The next question was, why did we move to San Antonio? That's a loaded question, but I'll try and answer it as best as possible. We moved to Texas, and specifically San Antonio, just for the opportunities that it gives us. There's so many opportunities, not just job opportunities, but it gives us the opportunity to save more money because the cost of living is so much lower than California, and it gives us the opportunity in turn, because we're saving, to own a house, which is our next goal, is to own our own property. So that's what we're super looking forward to. Our goal in California was to buy a house, but after going through the process, and I know it takes a lot of patience, but going through the process of getting pre-approved and saving and all that kind of stuff, we did that for about a year, and just realizing how much longer it was going to take us to do it in California, and it takes a lot of work. Most likely a second job for a lot of people, even though we are partners doing it. And then seeing how not fast, but just easier it is to do in Texas, to own property and still have money to spend after buying a house, was just our number one ticket to go here. We thought of other options like Arizona or Nevada, or I wanted to move to Washington. I've always wanted to live in northern states, but San Antonio just ended up really working for us, and so we made the decision to move here in it was probably October or November that we made it official. And then once we were like, okay, we're moving to Texas, this is happening, then things started falling into place. We got jobs, we got an apartment, and then everything else followed. I hope you can't hear the air conditioning. I tried to turn it off, but I've never done it. Luis always does it, so hopefully it's not too loud. So the next question is, how hard was it to find a place to live in somewhere where we were not familiar with? And honestly, it wasn't too bad. We spent so much time before even deciding to move, researching the best areas in San Antonio, where the crime was, where the best school district was, because even though we don't have kids or anything, knowing where the good school districts is going to show you where the better neighborhoods are. And then one of the main factors was just where our job was going to be. So we found something about 10 minutes away from where we'll be working. Luis and I work in the same place, so it makes it super easy. And then after that was just finding something in our price range and something that we were willing to pay for. So it wasn't too hard, but we did just do a lot of research, hours and hours of research. But we're kind of nerdy like that. We like to do that anyways. So yeah, that part of the process was not too hard. The next question is, how is Texas different than California? And I think that's a loaded question, because there's a lot of course, political things and state things that are going to be different with the government and stuff. But I wouldn't say it's really too different, except for the fact that there is a lot of driving. I know there's a lot of driving in California, but when you're driving here, it's like you don't go through 6 different little towns to get to where you're going. Like example, in California, going from Brentwood to San Francisco, you probably pass like, I don't even know, 20 towns, and you can drive the same distance here and you'll be in the same city or maybe the next county. So that's one really big difference. There's a lot of driving. Another, well, I wouldn't say, honestly, the weather is pretty similar to Brentwood, where we lived in California. But actually I think it's been a little bit colder, to be honest. Moving in December and San Antonio being like kind of deserty, it has been like in the 30s and 40s since we've been here. A little bit of rain. We really haven't experienced the stormy part of it yet, which I'm excited for because I just like that weather, just wet and stormy. But it's been a little colder, but everyone talks about the heat, and that's one thing that's different too, is just the humidity. It's way more humid here, but I don't mind that either. I do not like dry heat, so I'm kind of looking forward to this summer. I'm not a summer person, but I'm looking forward to this summer because at least my skin will stay hydrated from the humidity, hopefully. Next question, great question. How did COVID make our move more difficult? And I would say that it honestly didn't affect it too much. I think we would have done probably around the same thing. Well, so we ended up flying and then just shipping both of our cars here and putting as much stuff as we could in our cars and then just taking a bunch of suitcases with us. And I do think that if COVID wasn't around, then I probably would have decided to drive. If we could have worked it out. I didn't want to drive because it was a 24-hour drive and we probably wouldn't have had anyone to help us with it, so I would have been driving my own car and Luis would have been driving his own car, and I don't really feel comfortable driving that far by myself. And then also one of the reasons we didn't drive was because I didn't know like what would be available for us on the road, like bathrooms or restaurants or anything like that, or even hotels. I felt like we would have more exposure driving than we would have on an airplane. And when we went into the airport anyways, it wasn't super busy. And they were pretty strict about how far we were from each other on the plane, keeping our masks on and stuff. We flew out of San Jose, so the airport was a lot smaller than if we would have flew out of SFO. So other than that, it actually might have made our process a little bit easier because a lot of the apartment complexes were doing virtual tours instead of in-person tours, and they probably wouldn't have gone out of their way to do that before COVID, but because people didn't want to come in person, they made that an option to see the apartments. So that actually, I think, made it easier for us to do the move and find like a good apartment complex that we really liked. Okay, the next question is, what is our most favorite thing to do so far? And we really haven't got to check a lot of things out. We went to the Alamo, but they were closed, and we really haven't gone out too much, and I think it hasn't helped that there's been 2 major holidays since we've been here, and we got the weekends off, but a lot of things were closed, so because we were here for Christmas and then for New Year's. And when we have gotten out, a lot of places were closed, probably because it was a major holiday. So, but I would say that our favorite thing to do right now is probably just check out all the grocery stores and the stores around us. We got to check out HEB, which is a huge thing here. There's HEBs like every 10 minutes, and yeah, we've just been shopping kind of for stuff that we need here at the apartment. So that's probably my favorite thing to do. I don't know about Luis though. The next question is, what do you miss or not miss from California? And that's a great question. I think because, well, I love California. I always told myself that I was never gonna move out of California. I would maybe move Northern California or Southern California, but I never thought that I would move out of California. But I really haven't been missing like anything that you can only get in California. Like because we really didn't. We would maybe go to San Francisco twice a year. Unfortunately, we never really, maybe in the last 8 years, I haven't been to SoCal, and we really didn't do much, to be honest. We maybe go to the beach once or twice a year. So, and I think it's gonna be the same for here. We'll probably go north to experience the snow. We'll probably go to the Gulf to go to the ocean, which I'm super excited about because it's gonna be warm water. That'll be fun. But I really think the only thing that I miss from California is just my friends and family. And it hasn't been too long, so I'm still okay. Maybe ask me that question in like another 6 months. But to be honest, a lot of the things that we have in California, we have here, except for like the Golden Gate Bridge. The next question is a really good question too. What has surprised you about San Antonio? I think the thing that most surprised me was just actually how big the city of San Antonio is. Like, you can look at it on a map, but you really can't comprehend how huge it is. But I also thought that like this small tiny portion of the city was actual city, and then the whole outskirts was like just suburbia, which I didn't want. I wanted like kind of a big city experience. So coming here and seeing how much there is to do all over San Antonio was a really big surprise. But I think the biggest surprise is really just experiencing how freaking big this city is, and I'm super excited to get to know the area and just check out things that locals do. I've been following a lot of Instagram accounts and joining Facebook groups, so I'm starting to get to know the area and what's around here and what I want to check out. And the one thing that's left is just finding something to do, like a hobby or something, so that I can meet some people and get to know them and have people to go out with when COVID is gone. Okay, last question, best one, I think. Have you guys started saying y'all yet? And yes and no. I try not to say it in person because I kind of feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like if you say it to someone and before the conversation, or maybe they hear that you have like a Californian accent or something, then it's kind of like mocking them almost. But sometimes when you're in a conversation and you can hear like someone has the southern draw in their like voice, I don't know, when you hear it, it's kind of hard not to kind of mimic it, which I hate saying. I really hope people don't feel like I'm mocking their accent, but it's just hard not to do it back to someone who's doing it to you. So no, we're not saying y'all yet. I don't know if we're gonna do that or if it's just gonna like come someday. Maybe one day when we come back to California, someone will be like, oh, are you from Texas? Like, you guys sound like you're from Texas. And I'll be like, no, we're from California. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm glad that you guys took the time to listen to all my rambling, and thank you so much for asking questions. I really like getting questions and being able to answer what's on your mind, so always ask But thank you so much, and you'll hear from me soon.